This week on Trending and Hot on GitHub, we'll take a look at an ultra-fast database, a smart web spreadsheet plus. Good to know what the plus is. Stick around, you'll find out. From photos to virtual reality. Pretty awesome stuff. And a command line video downloader. Welcome to Trending and Hot on GitHub, where tech enthusiasts drop in each week to hear about powerful new projects on GitHub. I'm your host, Stephen McDaniel at Yak Data, and I've spent decades creating, testing, and obsessing over all types of software. Our first project we're going to take a look at is questdb, an open source SQL database designed to process time series data faster. That's a pretty clear promise. It's been around 91 months, so it's quite mature with almost 40 releases, nearly 7,000 stars on GitHub, and in the last week, almost 1,000 new stars. It was developed in Java. And what is questdb? A little bit more detail. It's a high-performance open-source SQL database for applications in all types of industries: IoT, machine learning, DevOps, finance, observability. It has endpoints for PostgreSQL, so you can use a lot of the tools you're already happily using for analysis and connection. High throughput schema agnostic ingestion using the influxdb line protocol, and a REST API for queries, very importantly, bulk imports and exports. Also of note, it's ANSI-SQL compliant, which I really like personally as someone who's a longtime user of a variety of databases. And there's a lot of extensions available for things like relational and time series joins. So one of the pieces included in this project is a web interface, and that's what I'm showing you here. Here you can see 10 years of data from New York City. It's their weather data in 30-minute increments. And here's some queries. So you can see just nice standard ANSI-SQL, some slight modifications, but really, really straightforward. And what's really impressive, this 130,000 rows came back in less than 100 milliseconds. A nice preview chart here, so you can actually, since it's time series, they have a nice preview that's not just the data table, which would be right here, but instead you have a nice chart you can preview. And what else comes with questdb on GitHub? You have the REST API, which, as well as the console is on port 9000. You have a PostgreSQL wire protocol or connection port at 8812, and an influxdb line protocol for high throughput ingestion at 9009. So of note, they've done some nice benchmarking here, and you can see questdb, the ingestion rate, that's on the axis here, up to 1 million records per second. You can see it's almost flat across the number of records you're ingesting, whereas a lot of the other databases they compare themselves with are lower to much lower performance, especially as you get out here at the larger ingestion jobs. If you haven't used influxdb and you're sort of new to a time series database, but you have time series data, this is an example of a data point coming into this system. What are you measuring? Weather. What's the tag set? Location. What's the field set? Temperature. And give us a timestamp. And here's your timestamp. Now, very important, it's compatible with Postgres, which to me makes it very relevant to some of the projects I might do in the future. And I could use things like R, Python, Power BI, Tableau, a variety of other tools. Moving along, let's take a look at nocodb. This is a web-based, team-capable spreadsheet, meets Trello. That's my opinion. In nocodb's opinion, they're also an open-source alternative to Airtable, which I would tend to agree with. Taking any kind of database like MySQL, PostgreSQL, SQL Server, SQLite, or MariaDB, and making a beautiful web-based smart spreadsheet interface. It's been around about 4 years, almost at 30 releases. And wow, it's at 20,000 stars on GitHub. It's not a project that trended this week, but very recently in the last few weeks. So I included it because I thought it was a really cool project. And it's built on Vue, TypeScript, and JavaScript. So let's take a look. Here's a nice example interface. You can see here I'm dealing with the database tables. Here's one of the presentation layers. And here's access to the views and a variety of ways to present it, like a grid, a gallery, calendar, Kanban, form. So you can get your data into a beautiful form, like showing images, videos, and this beautiful gallery view out of the box. Obviously, when I said it's a smart spreadsheet on the web, you're going to have things like invitation. So here I can invite Elon Musk to be a creator, an editor, an owner, a commenter, a viewer. So pretty much God on this database if I give him all these permissions and invite him. Also, I can use a simple mechanism to create password protection access with just a link, maybe for someone who's a third party that we might want to have as just a viewer potentially. And you can see behind the scenes here, like how nicely you can format your data as you enter it, right? You get these nice capabilities to do all kinds of little kind of post-it note or like little flags. Here's images. And coming soon, I almost didn't show this, but I'm like, well, it's coming soon. And this is a very mature product, so I assume they are correct. They're going to have this drag and drop designer, which looks really nice. So now it's not just a spreadsheet. It's like a spreadsheet meets a form designer. Should be pretty awesome. And very important for the developers in the room, APIs. So we have a REST API and we have GraphQL APIs. So you can interact with this with post, get, put, delete, etc. Your standard REST API type capabilities. And here's some more detail. Search, sort, filter, hide columns, create different types of views. I mentioned that. Very important if you're working with like larger objects like images, it'll easily connect with S3, GCP, Azure, etc., where you can have your images stored so you're not clogging your server. Fine-grained control and integration with some really cool things like chat, Microsoft Teams, Slack, Discord, email integration, Twilio, WhatsApp, and on and on. So this is a very mature product. It's continuing to add a lot of features, and wow, I think it's pretty impressive. Also, because it's using your database flavor of choice, whether it's MySQL, PostgreSQL, SQL Server, etc., you can use tools like R, Python, Power BI, Tableau on the consumer side. So I could see some pretty awesome project capabilities in the future. Well, we got 2 more great repos to go, but you can help me out. Just please subscribe for weekly trending and hot on GitHub. I'd love for you to keep joining me, and I'd love to hear your feedback. Please like this video if you enjoy it, and please add to the comments with your insight, experiences with these projects or similar projects, and your ideas for how I can improve this trending and hot on GitHub weekly video. Thanks a lot. Well, let's continue. Virtual reality is the next project. It's called ADOP. It allows a few images, just a few images, to be used as inputs to viewing a real-world scene from any angles. This is in the category of virtual reality. Like, this project is pretty freaking awesome. Well, it's been out just 1 month, 1 release. Wow, and it's already trending on GitHub. 1,000 stars, really impressive. And in the last week, almost 400 new stars. Developed in C++ and CUDA. And here is a rendering on the left of that locomotive up there from a few images and a point cloud. Really awesome stuff. I could see virtual reality, gaming, all types of areas possibly benefiting from this. So from the research paper, it's a novel point-based differentiable neural rendering pipeline. That's a bit of a word cloud there. And it's scene refinement and novel view synthesis. So the inputs are an initial estimate of the point cloud and some of the camera parameters. The output are the synthesized images, just like I showed you, from any arbitrary camera pose. So there is a nice research paper on this repository website that they reference. And here's sort of the intro. Very impressive work here. They're showing some examples with some boats and real-world views versus synthesized views. What's included in this repo? You have a viewer. You have a VR viewer, which you can sort of see the goggle kind of view down here. And you're HDR capable. So Wow, this is a really well-researched, thought-out project. There are several people who worked on it. Looks like it was their research at a university in Germany. And our last project is uget. So it's a flexible, tiny command line utility to quickly download video files, audio files, and images from the web. Easily pause and resume downloads, stream to your favorite player on your desktop, on your laptop, and use security cookies from a secure web session if needed. It's been around, well, 100 months, over 100 releases, 42,000 stars, booyah, and 100 new stars recently. It's written in Python for all you Python fanatics out there. Here's your project where you can sort of tweak it and do some web scraping without having to start from the ground up. What do you get? You can download video, audio from many websites like YouTube, Yuko. I'll show you the full list at the top of the page in a minute. Stream to an online video in your media player so you don't have to view it in the web browser. Download images of interest, scrape web pages, and download arbitrary non-HTML stuff like binaries, executables, etc. So it's a tiny command line utility. Here's an example where they ran uget against a YouTube video. And by default, it picks a default resolution. You can see it downloaded here. You get like a nice little status from the command line. So some examples of what you can use it for. This is just the very top of the page. There's probably another 6 or 7 pages of supported sites that they've tested against. Again, 114 releases. So YouTube, Twitter, Vine, Vimeo, Tumblr, on and on. So some of them they can do videos, some of them they can do images, a few they can do all three. So thanks for joining me. Wow. questdb, really awesome time series database. nocodb, the open source Airtable alternative. ADOP down here, approximate differentiable 1 pixel point rendering. And uget, pretty awesome little command line utility. Check out yakdata.com/hot, where the record of all of the projects that we feature on this will be. Please join me each Thursday. Thanks for joining me. I'm Stephen McDaniel. Hope you have a great day.